Hey guys, Eric here. I want to talk to you today about how to open up, loosen up, and warm up your hips, because a lot of people will have really tight hip flexors. They'll have stiff hips, so that way when they go to throw kicks or they want to run, they want to do anything that involves a large leg movement, they'll feel a really tightness in their hips, and maybe their hips will start popping and things like that. So this is something that, especially as you age a little bit, kids don't have this problem as much, but people that have a few years under their belts, maybe they've done a lot of abusive sports, real rough sports, they do have to do more warming up for their body. So let's go over a few techniques that you can use to help loosen up, warm up, and open up your hip joints. I will always recommend that you do a warm up first, because when you warm up your core temperature by increasing your heart rate, you get your blood pumping, then all of that blood motion is going to get through your whole body. It's going to loosen up everything from your ankles to your knees to your hips to your shoulders. Anywhere that you have problems in joints, if you first do something to warm up your body, warm up your core temperature, then that's going to get your blood flowing, it's going to get your fluids going, and that's going to help warm up your joints. From there, you're going to go on to actual joint loosening exercises. Another item that you can do that is typically done as a warming up and a pre-exercise for Muay Thai and kickboxing classes is we'll do walking high knees, just bringing your knee up to your chest and switching. And we'll actually walk back and forth down the mat and do one after another, back and forth. And we'll typically do anywhere from 2 minutes to 5 minutes of these high knees, bring it as high as you can, knee to chest, boom. And in the beginning, it seems easy, but anywhere between 2 to 5 minutes, you'll start to feel the little workout that you get in your hips. It's great because it's not that invasive, but it does give you a little bit of work in that area, so it helps build you up for a future, so that way when you warm up your hips, you've got a little bit of musculature there that you can start using. First, there are a few items that you can do where you're simply holding onto a handrail or any kind of surface that's nice and sturdy, and you can simply do little exercises to open your hips here just by going through a range of motion. This activates the muscle right here. You can do outside circles, and then you can also do inside circles. I recommend doing these wide. You can do them as wide as you feel comfortable. They can be small circles or large circles. And then also, this one in particular I call knee circles. You can also do with your leg extended, because when your leg is straightened all the way out, it stretches the muscles and tendons a little bit differently. So you can do these circles with your leg extended, and you feel a different tension in your hips as you do this. Not to mention, it adds a little bit more weight because your foot is now further away from the joint. So it adds a little bit more weight and resistance to the circle. Okay. Once you're nice and loose, after doing things such as hip circles, leg extended, leg bent, then you can do some leg swings. I personally like to do straight back, straight forward, straight back with the toes. Okay, you're not trying to stretch that tendon as far as it'll go. You're going just to the edge there, so you're not feeling like a huge stretch as you're doing this. You don't want a ballistic stretch on this tendon. But you just get that joint moving. Now, once I've done these a little bit, then I'll switch it up and I'll start to turn this leg. You can see how my toes turning sideways now. Sideways, forward, sideways, forward. And what that does is that opens up my hip at a different angle. A lot of guys who compete in fighting competitions that use kicks, a lot of guys that kick a lot will have to do these kinds of leg stretches. Keep in mind, sorry, it's not a ballistic stretch. It's rather just a motion that goes to the edge of your stretching zone, so that way it opens up that joint. Another technique you can use is to prop your foot up on something. Now, if you're not as flexible, you're going to use something lower. If you're more flexible, you may use something higher. Ring ropes work great on this. You see I have some plyo boxes behind me where you can use something as simple as a bench or a couch. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start facing the bench, and then I'm going to turn on my hips, on my toes, and I roll the foot all the way over. So now you can see that my hip is open a different direction. from here, my legs are, both of my toes are facing forward, right? And when I turn, both of my legs are open in a different direction. So this rotation in my hip is going to give me a great workout. Now I recommend being on your toes when you do these. You can see how they resemble kicks, okay? Some people like to hop when they do these. That's okay. But you can see how my hips open fully here, and then they close here. And doing that exercise on both legs is a great way to open up your hips. This is also great for people who are learning how to kick. If they're kicking in martial arts, they don't want to kick with the inside of that foot and look all funky and awkward and have to use the wrong muscles. They want to be able to, boom, turn that kick over so they can really get a strong, powerful stride into the execution of that kick. So this is a great technique to open up those hips and get used to rolling over that hip and open that foot joint. Another item that's great is to use these bungees. Now a lot of gyms will have these somewhere, maybe in the yoga room. There are attachments that they make where at the end of the bungee has just a little padded strap. I don't have that, so I'm going to show you how to do a hip flexor workout that you can use one of these even if you don't have the correct attachment. I'll simply hook both ends together, and then I'll step on one end, then the other end I'll wrap around my ankle a couple times. So now I've got one end I'm stepping on, the other end's wrapped around my ankle. I can do simple pulls where I raise my hip. It gives me some resistance here in my hip flexor. I'll bring my knee up as high as I can. Just doing a few of these reps will help open up my hips. I can also go wide with these and it'll get the outside. And then of course forward. So you can get all directions and work out your hip flexion piece. There are also a myriad of stretches that you can do that can start to pull on that muscle a little bit. I don't recommend ballistic stretching, guys, especially if your body's cold. I recommend a slow pull, so that way you can pull it, flex it, and then loosen it up. And it strengthens the position of the extended muscle, thereby expanding your comfort zone as far as your flexibility goes. I don't recommend jerking on the muscle because you always have danger in those areas. So a great stretch that you can do is you can put your knee on the ground and come down. Notice how my hip is turned forward here, and I'm getting a great stretch right here in this hip flexor. You may also choose to extend your leg and you'll get more of a stretch here. So in the beginning you might even start with this, and you can see you kind of dip down, loosen up, dip down, loosen up. Okay. Another great one is actually partial hamstring workout, partial glutes, and you can also really feel it stretching in your hip flexors. When you lay flat on your back and you do hip raises, you simply bring your feet close to your bum. All the way up. You're clenching your bum, you feel your hamstrings a little bit, but you do get a really nice stretch here in your flexors. You're going to push that up and hold it for a few seconds, and then you can come back down. I don't recommend coming all the way flat to the ground. Stay off the ground, flex it, push it out, and then release. Another thing that you can do are any kind of sit-ups where you have your feet being held. So if you're on a decline bench where your feet are being held, and you're using your legs to hold on while you pull your body up, that's going to create more tension in your hip flexors than normal sit-ups, and also any kind of leg raises. So let's do, for example, leg raises on the floor. You use something to hold on to with your hands. So I've got this bar here for the rack. Okay, I can hold on to this, and I can do these leg raises. You may choose, if you don't have something to hold on to, just cup your hands underneath your bum to give you a little protection and leverage. And do these. It does work your abdominals, but it also works your hip flexors.
Butterfly kicks are a great example of this as well.
Now as far as leg raises, there are many machines that you can use to help you with this. You can use any kind of dip rack, or in my case, I have a squat rack, or a rack. I just do a complete blank.
What's that?
What kind of? A CrossFit rack. Guys, this drove me nuts, I'm sorry. But check these out. You can use a dip rack, or you can use anything you can hang off of, such as one of these racks. You can come up with your legs, knees to chest as high as you can. Simply those will work your abdominals, will also work your hip flexors. You can come up level with your legs straight. That may be a more advanced exercise. And then of course, you can do side to side, but that doesn't focus very much on your hip flexors. That does more on your abs and your obliques. So you can hang. I prefer a dip rack and knee raises. You'll feel them in your hip flexors. And of course, you can always do these on your back. I can't remember what they're called, but they're world famous, all right?
You're gonna lay down and you're gonna touch your elbows to your knees. Your opposite leg, you're gonna kick out straight, low above the ground. You don't want to do these highs. Bicycles, there we go. You don't want to do these high, and then you get into a situation where you're not doing a real workout. You want to kick these out as far as you can, really low, right above the ground, and touch your knee with the opposite elbow. Boom, 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 boom. Get full extensions on those, and bring those knees all the way up to your elbow. This is most definitely an abdominal workout. You will get a strong workout in your flexors as well.
Thanks for joining me with this hip flexor routine, guys. Hopefully this gives you a few ideas on alternative exercises and warm-ups that you can do to loosen up those hip flexors and get doing whatever kind of leg routines you like to do. So if you enjoyed the information, hit like, subscribe, check out our channel down below. And as always, leave us questions, comments, and suggestions because we'd love to hear from you. Thanks, guys.